Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our Facebook Live. And we are meeting after 14 days. In the last week, we looked at the marine Plantae, and this week also we are going to continue the education series here. And our educator Husna is here. She will take the lead and conduct today's session. Husna, it's up to you. You can.
Thank you, Sanjeevan. Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to study about mangroves. So yes, so you can see in my slide two pictures which represent mangrove plants. Yes. So as the learning outcomes after completing this session, you'll be able to differentiate mangrove types, list the special characteristics of each mangrove type, and describe the importance of mangrove forests and threats associated with mangrove forests. So let's see one by one. So first, the introduction. So what's mangrove forest? Or we can call them as mangle. So they are salt tolerant woody trees and shrubs. Okay, so they can be big trees or shrubs. So we call them halophytes because they are salt tolerant. Okay, they can survive in saline water and also brackish water. So mostly these mangrove forests, they they occur in tropics and subtropical coasts. Okay, and at the interface between the terrestrial landscape and the marine environment. So that's where they live, in the coasts. And yes, so and also mangroves make up 60 to 70% of the coastal vegetation in the tropical and subtropical region. So they cannot withstand freezing temperatures. They need somewhat a high temperature. They grow in oxygen-less sediments with higher sedimentation. So they have to have sedimentation where they can live in less oxygen sediments as well. So here you can see two pictures. So first is inundated roots. Mostly when the tide level goes up in the ocean, so these plants, they get flooded, they get inundated. So no interaction with this atmosphere and the sediments. So oxygen transportation to the sediment is cut off. So there you have the water layer. So when the water goes away, when the low tide happens, so all the roots are exposed to the atmosphere. So this is the two pictures. So most of you all might have noticed these kind of plants in your coast, as you all representing the students who are joining through Zoom. They are representing the coastal zone. So mostly they might have seen this kind of plants, how with the water variation they get exposed and then they get inundated. Okay, and the next is mangrove forests can be identified with their dense tangle of prop roots. So mostly, like if we see a plant with roots like very dense roots, so we know that this is kind of a mangrove plant. So they help to keep the tree attached to the sediment, and also they give a balance without being drifted with the waves or any storms. So mangrove experience tidal variation, get flooded twice per day. Okay, and then here we have the mangrove distribution. So you can see how the mangrove forests are being distributed throughout the coast or in the globe. So mostly they cover subtropicals and tropical area. So here I have mentioned a name, Sundarbans. So Sundarbans is the largest mangrove forest in the world. It's located in Bangladesh, here near this place, okay, where Ganges, Brahmaputra rivers, they join, they meet the coast. So it's a very dynamic and diversity high spot. So this Sundarban, that's the forest with has mangrove. It's recorded. So here you can see this picture in the slide. So this is Sri Lanka. So I have just put this picture to get an idea how these mangrove plants are distributed along the Sri Lankan coast. So you can see most of the coasts are with mangrove plants. So they have different kinds. So we have two types, I mean, true mangrove plants, and also some we call them mangrove associates. Okay, so here you can see clearly almost all the coasts, they are they contain they are with these mangrove plants. So it's very important to conserve these mangrove plants. So mostly with developments along the coast, these mangrove forests are cleared. You may know that. Okay, so it's a kind of a threat for the survival of the coastal people, because we'll see in the next coming slides how they protect the coast. But you should know that one significant thing, like in the southern part, most of the places, they were not much affected during 2004 tsunami, because they had these mangrove belts. So when the tsunami wave hit, they didn't directly hit the land area. They just bounce first to this mangrove belt. So the force, or the the disaster was reduced. So the potential of being this, the the effect was reduced due to this mangrove belt. So we see what are the requirements for the development. So mangrove plants, we know they occupy the tropics and subtropics. So they need a kind of uh, an increased temperature. So they can't tolerate more cold temperature. So, and also they need a fine grained substrate. Uh, so there are some exceptions where mangrove, they grow in corals in Papua New Guinea. So that's a kind of like that's a special special situation, we can say, like. But mostly they need fine grained substrates. And also shores must be free of strong waves action and strong tidal currents. So very shallow variations, and also wave action should be very less. Then only the sedimentation process happen. So they can the plants can be they can survive, okay, in that place. And yes, they require saline water, but actually they don't require to to be I mean, to survive, sometimes we can say. But actually they uptake the saline water, but they have some filtering methods in their body. So they filtrate the excessive salt, and then they take the water up. So they are adapted to live in saline water. That's the important thing. So they have a mechanism to excrete the saline water. More salt, they put it out, they send off. So that's not a problem, but they are adapted to live in the saline water. And also oxygen and nutrients, say similar to other plants, they need oxygen and nutrients as well. So the root system they have, they're adapted to uptake the oxygen and nutrients. Okay, now we have zonation. So actually these mangrove plants, they develop from the coast towards land for a large extent. We can see a very thick belt in the coast. So within that belt, we can sometimes see these zonations very clearly. So here I have put a picture. So here's the lagoon. This is the right part is more towards ocean. So you have the lagoon and then the mangrove belt. So the first, like the plant, or we can say the mangrove plant that comes into that location is red mangrove, we call them. So they are adapted to go with these waves. Sorry for a second. Yes, yes, and these plants these red mangrove plants, they are adapted to go with this wave actions and storms. So they have these prop roots, we call them red mangroves, and then towards the land, away from these red mangroves, we have the black mangroves and then the white mangroves. We'll see one by one. So you should know there are basically three types of mangroves, which we can uh, list from the seaward to landward. So first we have the red mangrove, second the black mangroves, and the white mangroves. Okay, the next, yes, okay, yes. So yes, with that, they have different kinds of roots. You might have seen them in the environment if you have visited a mangrove forest, but this is very specific to that particular environment. So they have a root type called buttress root. Okay, so it's very thick, large, so it helps to hold the plant to the substrate, very loose sediment. So this the first picture shows the buttress root. So the next we have knee roots. Knee roots are like bent like structures, you can see, but from the main plant body, these bends are seen away from the main plant body. Sometimes you can see cone roots. They come out from the sediment in different size and in different places. So, and also you have this pneumatophores. So, or we can call them pencil roots. They are lengthy ones. They come out from the sediments. Actually, from this main plant, they have this cable root. I mean, the actual root. From those root, they come out. So they are called pneumatophores. They are adapted to get the oxygen from the atmosphere. They have small pores-like things, small holes, pores in their root, which helps to get the oxygen through that. So here you have the prop roots significantly present in red mangroves. So we will see what like how they help. So they come out from a height, so we call them prop roots. So these are the main root systems that we find, we can study, we can find in this mangrove forest. So first is buttress root, second knee root, cone roots, pneumatophores, and prop roots. Okay, here kind of clear illustration is given here. So here you can see from the plant, this plant, the main roots are uh, covered with sediment. From the main roots, pneumatophores come up. Okay, so and here also the same. Here it's in the root system is a bit different from that, but they have this prop roots. Okay, so here they have in the prop roots surface they have small pores, we call them lenticles. So through that the like they interact with the atmosphere, they intake the oxygen. But usually we know that most of the plants they uptake the oxygen through their leaves. Okay, but here in mangrove bit different. Though they take the oxygen through their leaves as well, but when these sediment, the substrate is flooded with water, they find it difficult uh, to balance the oxygen, so they take through uh, these through these pneumatophores or prop roots to keep the balance of the oxygen inside their body. So here again I have showed you a picture of this zonations. So here according to the location where they grow, these plants, mangrove plants, they get inundated differently. So here you can see, so with the sea level, so the red mangroves are the ones who the edge of the coast, so they get more inundated. So moving towards the land, black mangroves and then white mangroves, they get less inundated as they are more towards land. So that's important to notice. So and then we have the red mangroves. We will be studying about the red mangroves here. So they are called walking trees, so as they have like limbs like structures out, so they are called the walking trees. And it can be as tall as 80 feet, so they can grow very tall, and it's found on shorelines where conditions are harshest, so they are adapted to adjust with the wave action and storms, so they are at the edge. Okay, so here you can see this is the picture of the red mangrove. So this is the propagule. Okay, this is the seedling. So when they fall, like they germinate when they attach to the plant. So when they fall, they can taken by the wave actions or the currents to different places, and they grow in different parts. Okay, so this is the flower of this red mangrove, 4 petals with a very light creamy color. So next we have the black mangrove, or we can say Avicennia. So the black mangrove is found very close to the red mangrove, but farther inland. Okay, it's the second tallest of the mangroves covered here, reaching a possible height of 65 feet. It's called the black mangrove. Okay, we studied about the red mangrove and then the black mangroves. So they are called the black mangroves because of the color of the wood is dark brown and black. Okay, so the reason is that the wood can be used in construction and charcoal and other purposes. Okay, so here, yes, this is the picture. Now you can see their fruit is conical in shape. Okay, And here you can see they have the new metaphors or the pencil roots. This is the main plant there. So around the plant you can see these roots come out. So, and also this is the flower. It's very yellowish in color. So they yes, I forgot to say that the the leaves are bit oval, egg shape, oval in shape, you can see. Yes. And then they have this, yes, the pointed leaves. Okay, so here I forgot to mention, so here you can see their leaves are too oval in shape but bit dark green, isn't it? The color is bit dark, but they have a waxy coat like thing, so they can conserve the water inside the body. Okay, so the texture, the texture of the leaves is bit waxy. So yes, so next we have the white mangroves. So the white mangroves are relatively short, but they may grow up to 50 yes, 50 feet in height, and they are more towards land. Okay, so here I have showed some pictures. So their leaves are oval in shape, but the point is very rounded. Okay, not point. So the leaf point is rounded, but they have pores uh, under the leaf part, the underside of the leaf, and also they have they, unlike, like, compared to the red mangrove and the white, I'm sorry, the red mangrove and the black mangrove, uh, the white mangroves, they don't have these aerial roots, I mean the new metaphors or any other type, but prop roots, but occasionally they can have these peg roots which are shorter and bit thicker than the pencil root. Pencil roots are very thin and they are long. So compared to that, they occasionally they have these peg roots, but they are different than the pencil roots. So their flowers are very small and white in color. So here you can see white pores. So that's why we call them white mangroves. So they have these white pores in their roots. So through that they uh, exchange oxygen. So I hope that you all understood from the beginning how it went. So we studied about what's mangroves and then their distribution in globally and locally, and then we studied about the requirements for their development and the zonations. And now, yes, there are three types of mangroves: red mangroves, black mangroves, and white mangroves. So now it's time for the group activity. I hope like to Sanjeevan will be sending you all to breakout rooms, so we will be sending the questions to the group. So yes, Sanjeevan.
Yeah, Husna, I'll send them to the breakout rooms. The rooms are open now, students. You can join the room. Husna, can you able to share the questions in the group?
Yes, sure.
Yes, students, you can join now. This is not everyone here. You can continue.
Okay, thank you, Sanjeevan. I hope the breakout room discussions were perfect and y'all got time to speak to your friends and then come up with the answers for the questions that we hope to discuss. Yes, end of this session. So next we have a video to watch. So let's watch it. Let me share the sound. Can you all hear the sound
Yes, we can.
clearly? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Mangroves are plants that grow in intertidal regions in coastal areas. An intertidal region is submerged with salt water during high tides and exposed to the air during low tides. Mangroves have a number of adaptations that allow them to survive in this ever-changing environment. The soil in which mangroves grow is soft and low in oxygen. To survive in such soil, many mangroves have stilt roots that prop up the plant and prevent the shoot system from being submerged during high tides. Plant cells, including those in mangrove roots, require oxygen. Normally, oxygen can be taken in through pockets of air in the soil. The soil where mangroves grow has little space for air and is very low in oxygen. To adapt to this low oxygen environment, some mangroves have specialised root structures called pneumatophores. These vertical structures stick up out of the soil and enable the mangrove root system to take up oxygen from the atmosphere. Another unique adaptation of mangroves can be seen in their life cycle. The seeds of many mangroves germinate and begin to grow while still attached to the parent plants. Once developed, the seedling falls away. The seedlings float and are dispersed to new places by the tidal flow of water. Mangroves are an important component of coastal ecosystems. Mangrove forests provide breeding and feeding grounds for a range of animals, including fish, crabs, birds, and some mammals. They also help to protect the coastline from erosion from waves, storm surges, and tsunamis. See you next time!
So I hope y'all enjoy the video. So yes, let's move to the next topic, importance of mangroves. So first, they provide a physical habitat and nursery grounds for marine organisms. So here you can see in the picture, it's clear how complex even their root system is. So here you can see small organisms, they occupy their roots, and here you have a bird and fish, small fish. So they provide habitat for these organisms, and also nursery ground for small fish kind of organisms too. So these organisms have important uh, recreational and commercial values, and the mangroves are nurseries for shrimps, crabs, and fish. The roots protect organisms from predators, so like they get sheltered inside this root system, so that's very important. So here again in the right, there's a picture which clearly shows how one organism is depending on the other. So yes, so they are living in that ecosystem, and it's very complex. So yes, the mangrove forests serve as buffer for storm and hurricanes, and even they can buffer tsunami waves. So here you can see two scenarios, first the above and the low one. So here the first picture with mangroves, how the high waves are coming, and they are getting the wave action is being reduced due to the mangrove trees that there's there. So with that, the wave action is being reduced. So the constructions or the houses built in this place is being protected. So when it comes to the second one, there are no coral reefs or there are no mangroves. So here you can see how there's high waves, they are directly hitting the land without any barriers before they hit the land. So the damage is high compared to the previous one. So these mangroves are very important to safeguard the coast and the coastal communities who are living very near to the coast. So next, they protect shorelines from erosion. So this something similar picture here you can see. So yes, when the wave action always hit the coast, like without these mangrove plants, imagine there's a shore. So when they are exposed to intermittent wave actions, the coast is easily eroded than any coast with this kind of belt, mangrove belt, or a barrier, we can say. So that way the coast is protected when they have this kind of mangrove plants. So for erosion control, we can have these mangrove plants. So next, they provide roosting and nesting sites for many birds. So especially heron and brown pelican. So they are significantly seen in this kind of environment. So not only the fish, crabs, or shrimps we talk. So these mangrove plants, they provide habitat for the birds as well. So it's very important to conserve this kind of ecosystems. And also they improve water quality and clarity. So you know that before the ocean, before any thing that meet the ocean that comes from the land side, they meet the mangrove in the transition line. So as these mangrove forests are adapted, or they have the ability to trap the sediments and other waste materials. So all the sediments and the pollutants get trapped inside their sediment. So the rest of the water that flows toward the ocean is very clear. So when there's no mangrove belts, directly all the land flows, they end up in the ocean, and ocean water clarity get disturbed. So here you can see seagrass, and then next you can have coral reefs kind of ecosystem. So if we damage this mangrove belts, so especially the other dependent ecosystem, seagrass and coral reefs, they're going to uh, get vanished, or they will be damaged as well. So that's very important. So they improve the water quality, and they help other ecosystem in dependent. Okay, and then we have yes, here you can clearly see. So from mangrove they have patch reefs. So every ecosystems are like they are connected. So here see the next, the below picture shows where the mangrove is absent. So eventually every ecosystem is getting affected. So less amount of this fish. So here you can see the biodiversity is less compared to the above one. Yes, they provide food for many marine organisms. So here I have showed food web that's related to this ecosystem. So through the like the detritus, so they have this bacterial and fungal actions, and then they there's prawns and crabs, they consume the algal the organisms like planktons, so phytoplanktons, and then they are consumed by the fish, pelican, heron, or human sometimes. So actually the detritus, the leaf litter that turn into marine debris, they help uh, the food web of the food ecosystem. So that's very important. So if we remove the plants from the ecosystem, so all these food web or the food chain will be collapsed. So yes, the next is they trap organic materials and nutrients that sustain ecosystems. So earlier I explained about the sedimentation, so sediment trapping. So the same way they trap other pollutants, heavy metals inside their inside in the sediment, and also especially they contribute as our last session, we discussed about the seagrass, how they trap carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The same thing, these mangrove plants, they also do the same contribution for the carbon sink. So they uptake the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and the inorganic carbon dioxide is converted into organic carbons inside their body, and then with the leaves, when they fall, they are buried, and they are converted into carbons, organic, and they can be converted into other forms, but they are settled inside the sediments, so they help in carbon sequestration. So that's very important. So they help to remove the atmospheric carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. Yes, we have reached to our last slide. So here we have threats to mangrove forests. So here I have listed several threats that's related to this mangrove. So first, we can say that the clearing of these mangrove trees for agricultural purposes, maybe for any other construction purposes. So cutting these trees are like they are one of the main threats for this forest, and also aquacultural ponds or farm developments, as these mangroves are naturally they are very shelter for these streams and everything. So people find it very useful to build their farms or any business purpose constructions, uh, this aquaculture construction pond constructions near to the mangrove. So they clear some parts and they convert this into aquacultural ponds. So with the nutrient increasements and all other negative impacts, these mangroves are affected greatly. And then the pollution. So we all know that these mangrove belts are the edge of the coast, where all the land runoffs and the pollutions they meet these mangrove forests before they go into the ocean. So most of the time, these plastics, heavy metals, they are easily trapped inside the sediments of these mangroves, so which sometimes we can say smother the growth of the seedlings, small ones, small plants. So it's a threat for them, and the coastal development, and also the climate change. So with the climate change, there can be local and regional extinctions where these plants they are unable to adapt with the climate change. And also yes, so those are the threats that I have here listed for the discussion. So I hope that according to our learning outcomes, the students they can go and search more about the threats and the importance of the mangrove plants, and they can come up with a nice poster like thing. So what I wanted to do for as in a regular way, you can make your book with the learning outcomes, but additionally I want all the students, all the 28 students, to come up with their own posters, a very attractive one. It could be either to represent their importance or the threats. So yes, and yes, that's the end of this session. This is the end of this session. So I hope that this session was useful.